The greatest danger isn't the enemy who attacks with a sword. It's the fool standing beside you smiling, while his ignorance becomes your downfall. In this world, stupidity is not harmless, it's contagious, and today we cure it with knowledge. Sign number 1T, the first and most unforgivable error of a stupid man is this: he believes that all men are honest. It is a comforting illusion, no doubt, a worldview soaked in the sweet poison of naivety. But comfort is not the currency of survival. In a world where loyalty is often worn like a mask, and truth is but a tool sharpened for manipulation, this belief is not only false, it is dangerous. The stupid man walks into rooms, thinking others possess the same heart as his own. He assumes that a man's words are mirrors of his soul, that agreements are sacred, and that hands extended in peace are not sometimes soaked in venom. He thinks honor is universal. He believes that because he has no intention to deceive, others must carry the same intention. And in doing so, he becomes the perfect victim. To believe in the inherent honesty of men is to misunderstand human nature. Men lie not because they are evil, but because it is often more profitable than telling the truth. They manipulate, not always with hatred, but with a clear understanding of how power works. To rise in this world is not to reveal everything, but to conceal the right things. It is not to walk with an open book in your hands, but with sealed lips and sharp eyes. The man who assumes that all others play fair is the one most likely to lose when the game turns cruel. History does not favor the trusting. Empires have fallen not because their enemies were strong, but because their leaders believed treaties would be honored. Brothers have betrayed brothers. Friends have turned into conspirators. Love has become a doorway for destruction. And yet, the stupid man continues to believe that honesty binds all men, like some invisible moral thread. He does not realize that morality bends under pressure and principles often vanish when ambition whispers. This type of man is easy to predict, easy to trap, and even easier to destroy because he gives others the benefit of the doubt without making them earn it. He lowers his guard because he assumes no one would dare strike. He shares his secrets in private conversations, not realizing that some men speak softly only to learn your weakness before striking. He shakes hands in business, smiles in diplomacy, and trusts smiles as if they are signatures of truth. Such a man will never see betrayal coming, not because betrayal is rare, but because he refuses to believe it exists. He doesn't ask what someone wants when they offer help. He doesn't question timing, silence, or over-enthusiastic praise. He believes everything is as it seems, and in doing so, he walks blindly into traps set by men far more calculated than he could ever be. What the stupid man does not understand is that honesty is a performance in the world of power. It is worn when useful and discarded when dangerous. Men speak of virtue but move with strategy. They quote morals but act out of interest. The world does not operate on sincerity. It operates on leverage, and the man who cannot see that is not just foolish. He is doomed. He fails to distinguish between true allies and opportunists. He cannot read silence as clearly as he reads praise. He cannot tell when a compliment is a bribe or when a gift is a leash. He hears only the tone, never the motive. And motives, those are what smart men watch, because it is never the surface that tells you who someone is, but what they are quietly chasing underneath it. The truly stupid man doesn't test character. He doesn't wait to see if promises hold weight under pressure. He accepts words at face value, thinking the world operates on some mutual code of truth. But the world is not a temple. It is a theater, and everyone wears masks. Some wear them to hide evil. Some wear them to survive. Others wear them simply because they can. To walk through this world without suspicion is not noble. It is suicidal. He tells himself that honesty invites honesty, that being good to others will bring good back to him. And in doing so, he misunderstands the laws of power. For power does not answer to goodness. It answers to control, foresight, and understanding of human flaws. And the flaw most often exploited through his trust given too freely. Sign number 28. The second mark of a stupid man lies in his obsession with being liked. Approval is his drug, and he will betray his own strength for a taste of validation. This is not the behavior of a man who understands how the world operates. It is the behavior of one who has confused popularity with power. A man who needs to be liked will never command respect. He will fold under pressure, speak only to please, and compromise when firmness is needed most. He becomes soft in the pursuit of affection, and in doing so, becomes useless in moments that demand authority. The man who craves approval believes harmony is the goal. He avoids conflict not out of wisdom, but out of fear that it will make him disliked. He says what the room wants to hear, never what it needs to hear. He adapts his tone to fit the crowd, not because he is strategic, but because he lacks spine. His loyalty bends to whoever claps the loudest. And though he may feel safe in the applause of the masses, he has already been captured by the invisible chains of need. Such a man will never make a difficult decision. He will never choose the necessary path if it comes with disapproval. He would rather lose quietly than win while being called ruthless. He smiles when he should stare. He apologizes when he should be silent. And he shakes hands when he should walk away. The truth is that he doesn't want to lead. He wants to be admired. And leadership requires blood on your hands, not flowers at your feet. The foolishness of this trait is not just in its weakness, but in its transparency. Those who watch him know exactly how to control him. All they must do is frown when he speaks, and he will reshape his words. All they must do is withhold applause, and he will change direction. He is not moved by truth or reason, but by the sound of clapping hands. He is not led by principles, but by the fear of rejection, and that makes him dangerous. Not to his enemies, but to those who rely on him. The approval-seeking man will sell out his own values to gain temporary praise. He will abandon allies the moment they become unpopular. He will side with the majority even when they are wrong, simply because the majority offers him a safer place to stand. He cannot endure isolation. He cannot tolerate criticism. And worst of all, he sees power as something granted by others, not something seized by force of will. He waits to be given authority through admiration, instead of building it through strategic action and unwavering discipline. Power never comes to those who ask for it. It comes to those who take it and are willing to be hated for it. The stupid man doesn't understand this. He thinks his reputation depends on how many people smile when he enters a room. He doesn't see that the most feared men in history were rarely beloved. They were not embraced, they were respected. Not because they chased the love of the people, but because they forced the world to acknowledge their presence. A man who prioritizes approval will always censor himself. He will avoid uncomfortable truths. He will hide strength behind politeness, and he will dilute his message to make it easier to digest. But truth, by its very nature, is hard. It does not care if people like it. And a man who wants to stand on truth must be willing to walk alone when necessary. The approval seeker cannot do this. He is too fragile, too dependent, too willing to trade power for peace of mind. In the court of influence, he is a jester, not because he lacks intelligence, but because he performs for an audience. Every decision he makes is filtered through the question, will they still like me after this? This makes him predictable. It makes him weak. And worst of all, it makes him blind to the respect he sacrifices each time he bends. He becomes a mirror for others, reflecting what they want to see, never showing who he truly is. And in that reflection, he slowly disappears. Sign number 3. The third sign of a stupid man is his constant need to speak. He fills silence with noise, mistakes verbosity for intelligence, and uses words not as weapons, but as distractions. The wise man knows the value of silence. He watches, listens, calculates. The stupid man does not listen, he only waits for his turn to talk. In his mind, to speak is to be relevant, to be dominant, to be acknowledged. But the truth is the opposite. The more a man talks without precision, the more he reveals what should remain concealed. There is a weakness in unchecked expression. The man who always needs to comment, respond, or give his opinion is unknowingly laying out a map of his mind. He exposes his priorities, his fears, his ambitions, and his insecurities, all through the very words he thinks make him look clever. Others observe this, and those with power, true power, file it all away. They do not interrupt him. They nod and encourage him to continue, knowing that the more he speaks, the less they need to guess. The foolish man believes he is in control of the conversation. What he doesn't realize is that he has already been sized up, categorized, and dismissed. Observation is the foundation of strategy. A man who cannot sit still in silence, who must always be the loudest in the room, never gathers the information he needs to move effectively. He reveals his strategy before the game begins. He shows his hand before a single card is played. He argues for the sake of appearance, not for truth. And in doing so, he becomes easy to predict and easy to defeat. A stupid man talks to impress, never to understand. He walks into conversations with the intent to display his knowledge, not to acquire any. He fears being perceived as ignorant more than actually being ignorant. And so he compensates with noise. He will interrupt, over-explain, and dominate discussions. He is addicted to the sound of his own voice, as if volume will mask his lack of insight. But insight comes not from expression, from absorption. The smartest move is often not to respond, but to wait and watch what the others reveal first. Silence makes many men uncomfortable. The stupid man cannot endure it. To him, silence means something is wrong. It means he is being judged or ignored. So he rushes to fill it, unaware that silence is the breeding ground of clarity. A silent man is feared more than a loud one. His intentions are unreadable. His position is uncertain. His threat is undefined. But the loud man, he gives everything away. His urgency to be understood becomes a weakness. His opinions become routines, and his reactions become tools in the hands of those who know how to provoke him. In times of tension, the stupid man becomes the most dangerous to himself. His mouth moves before his mind. He escalates minor issues, exposes allies by accident, and declares war before understanding the battlefield. His words are not chosen, they are poured. He tries to negotiate through flattery, debate through shouting, and lead through overconfidence. But those who truly command a room often say the least. Their silence speaks volumes. Their presence alone unsettles the uncertain, the man who speaks too much. He reassures everyone that he is no threat at all. It is in meetings, arguments, negotiations, and alliances that the foolishness of a talkative man becomes most obvious. He leaks information about his plans, contradicts himself in his haste, and makes promises he cannot remember. His tongue becomes a sword that cuts only himself. Meanwhile, the observing man builds leverage with every word he does not say. He calculates what others want, what they fear, and where they are weakest, all by letting them talk. Power, after all, often comes to the one who speaks last, not the one who speaks first. The talkative fool is not harmless. He is self-sabotaging. He gives away his ambition to those who will use it against him. He shows his loyalty before testing the loyalty of others. He reacts emotionally, speaks impulsively, and lives as if every thought deserves an audience. The world is not a stage. It is a battlefield. And on the battlefield, silence is a shield, and observation is a weapon sharpened with time. Sign number 4C. The fourth sign of a stupid man is his careless trust, his inability to understand that the world is not made up of honest intentions, but of masks and motives. He assumes people mean what they say, that smiles are sincere, and that apologies are pure. He confuses charm for character and gestures for loyalty. Such a man lives as if betrayal is rare, when in truth, it is the unspoken rule of power. This naive view of human nature makes him the perfect prey for those who understand manipulation. To trust blindly is not a virtue, it is a vulnerability. The stupid man thinks that being good person means believing in the goodness of everyone else. He welcomes strangers into his circle. He shares secrets with those he barely knows. He places confidence in smooth words, forgetting that the sharpest knives are often wrapped in silk. His forgiveness is immediate, without suspicion, without test. He treats deceit as a misunderstanding rather than a warning. And so, he is betrayed not once, repeatedly, each time more deeply than the last. Forgiveness, in its rightful form, is not weakness. It is a weapon of choice, to be used only when it strengthens your position. But the foolish man forgives because he cannot stomach conflict. He cannot carry the weight of anger or resentment, and so he unloads it quickly on anyone who asks for pardon. He tells himself that forgiveness is for his peace. But it's really just an escape from confrontation. He gives second chances before understanding why the first was lost. The truly wise man tests loyalty. He does not assume that time or proximity equals trustworthiness. He observes consistency. He studies reactions. He creates small conflicts to see who remains loyal under pressure. But the stupid man has no such instincts. He believes words over patterns, intentions over evidence. He clings to hope that people will change, not realizing that change rarely comes without cost or consequence. In this blind hope, He keeps snakes close and lets go of the guards who warned him. There is no cruelty in caution. In fact, it is the foundation of survival in a world ruled by strategy. The man who trusts too quickly gives power to people he hasn't yet understood. And once given, power is difficult to retrieve. He opens doors that should remain closed, shares information that should remain secret, and invests time and emotion into people who offer nothing in return but flattery and well-crafted lies. He believes tears over timelines, excuses over patterns, and every time someone returns with a softer tone, he welcomes them back as if nothing ever happened. The man who forgives without testing, without requiring change or sacrifice, teaches others that betrayal has no price. He becomes predictable. Offend him today, flatter him tomorrow, and return as if nothing happened. He has no long memory. He moves forward without reflection. He cannot comprehend that some mistakes are not accidents, calculated tests to see how easily he can be manipulated again. And the more he forgives without judgment, the more he becomes surrounded by those who know he can be used. It is not wrong to trust, but to trust without filters, without resistance, is to walk into war unarmed. The world is filled with those who exploit the emotional, who weaponize pity, who pretend to be victims to gain entry into your defenses. The stupid man opens his gates at the first knock. He lets in anyone who smiles or weeps, not realizing that deception often wears the face of remorse. He values reconciliation over remembrance. He values peace over protection, and in this misplaced mercy, he welcomes his own undoing. He mistakes repetition for sincerity. If someone says, "I'm sorry," often enough, he begins to believe it. He doesn't look for changed behavior, only soft words. He doesn't notice the cycles. He only remembers the brief calm between storms. His memory is short when it comes to betrayal, but long when it comes to promises. And so, he gets used by the same people again and again, each time convinced this time is different. Such a man does not know the weight of consequences. He lives in a world where actions have no lasting damage, where people are always worthy of another chance, and where treachery is just a lapse in judgment. But those who survive, who rise, who conquer, they remember every wound and who caused it. They forgive only when it serves their plan, and trust only when trust has been earned with blood, time, and proof. Sign number 50. The fifth sign of a stupid man is that he cannot master his emotions. He reacts before he reflects. He confuses feeling with truth, anger with power, and passion with purpose. His emotional compass is not governed by reason, but by impulse. When insulted, he lashes out. When praised, he becomes intoxicated. He is a puppet pulled by invisible strings, strings made of insecurity, pride, envy, and fear. And worst of all, he believes his emotional outbursts are signs of strength, when in reality, they are evidence of his weakness. The emotionally reactive man is a danger to himself. He makes enemies out of allies and exposes his plans under pressure. He raises his voice when he should be silent, and he storms away when he should stay calm. He is easy to provoke and even easier to manipulate. One carefully placed insult can make him lose composure in front of others. One compliment can blind him to a hidden agenda. He has no control over his internal weather. A man like this is unfit to lead, negotiate, or endure conflict. He is ruled by fire that burns more than it illuminates. To be emotional is not the same as being weak. But to be controlled by emotion, without delay or discretion, is to become predictable in a world that punishes the obvious. The man who reacts emotionally is an open book written in large letters. Everyone can read him. Everyone can predict him. If he feels envy, it shows in his voice. If he feels fear, it shows in his posture. If he feels rage, it spills from his mouth. He becomes transparent, and transparency is fatal in the game of power. A man whose buttons are easy to push will always be under someone else's finger. In moments of conflict, the emotional man seeks immediate release, not long-term advantage. He raises his hand before raising his mind. He seeks revenge instead of leverage. He demands justice without understanding timing. He cannot endure delay, cannot wait in discomfort, cannot sit still while being misunderstood. This need for emotional resolution makes him weak in negotiations and dangerous in alliances. He exposes himself just to feel better for a moment. While he vents, the strategist listens. While he screams, the observer plans. Those who move with intelligence do not deny emotion. They delay it. They feel everything but act on nothing until the time is right. They know that a well-timed silence is more powerful than a well-worded insult. They know that a single smile at the right moment can destroy an enemy's confidence more than 1,000 curses. But the stupid man only knows how to explode. He only knows how to confront, never how to contain. He believes strength is about domination when it is really about discipline. He thinks being real means saying whatever he feels, not realizing that real power comes from saying less and meaning more. This lack of emotional control does not just ruin conversations, it ruins opportunities. In business, in relationships, in leadership, the man who cannot control his reactions loses credibility. He earns the label of being too much, too intense, too unstable. Doors close silently behind him. People distance themselves without confrontation. They know that a man who reacts emotionally today will self-destruct tomorrow. He does not even need an enemy. His emotions are enough to undo him. He will sabotage friendships, trust, alliances, and futures, all because he refused to learn restraint. Even worse, the emotionally driven man mistakes his passion for conviction. He believes that the louder he speaks, the more right he is. He assumes that his anger is righteous, when it is often just wounded ego. He has no awareness of how his emotions are used against him, how others provoke, praise, or ignore him simply to study his range of reactions. He becomes the perfect test subject for manipulation. Those with greater patience always win against him because they let him burn out his energy while they conserve theirs. The emotional fool rarely learns from his mistakes. Because his reactions feel justified in the moment, he assumes they were wise. He may even be praised for his passion by those who benefit from his chaos. He believes his heart is leading him to truth, but often it is dragging him toward ruin. Emotion becomes his compass, but without any map. He feels deeply but thinks shallowly. His face betrays his thoughts, his tone reveals his plan, and his future becomes a trail of wreckage left by words he couldn't control and actions he never questioned. Sign number 60, the sixth and final sign of a stupid man, is that he chases validation as if it were power, not realizing that the constant need to be liked, admired, or applauded is the very thing that renders him powerless. He walks into every room asking the unspoken question, "Do you approve of me?" And when he does not hear a response, he grows restless, insecure, even desperate. This man builds his self-worth on the shifting sands of opinion. And because of this, he becomes easy to control, easy to predict, and impossible to respect. A man who seeks validation is always adjusting himself. He bends his personality to fit the crowd. He switches positions to fit the moment. He compliments others not from sincerity, but in hopes of receiving a compliment back. He avoids truth if it risks unpopularity. He fears rejection more than dishonor. His morality is a mirror, not a compass. It reflects the environment, but offers no direction of its own. He cannot stand in opposition to the herd, for he draws his sense of value from their applause. Without external approval, he becomes anxious and lost. This kind of man can never lead. He may hold titles, he may wear suits, he may recite confident words, but beneath the surface, his actions are always shaped by how others will react. He is a slave to perception, and this slavery makes him vulnerable to manipulation by those who understand how to feed or withhold approval. If you want him to obey, you flatter him. If you want him to hesitate, you shame him. If you want him to surrender, you isolate him. He cannot survive without being seen. His spirit depends on recognition. There is no integrity in this man, only performance. Every opinion he holds is rehearsed. Every stand he takes is based on who is watching. He says what is right, not because he believes it, but because it's the safest thing to say. His courage only appears when the crowd agrees. His silence only comes when he fears backlash, and when a crisis arrives. When pressure demands he either stand alone or lose favor, he will always choose favor. He sacrifices conviction for acceptance and dresses cowardice as diplomacy. He does not understand that respect is not given to those who seek it, but to those who forget about it. True power is quiet. It does not need to be praised. It does not ask for permission to speak, to act, to exist. The man who seeks validation, however, is loud, not because he is confident, but because he needs confirmation. Every social interaction becomes a test. Every silence feels like judgment. Every disagreement feels like betrayal. He is emotionally exhausted because his worth depends on variables he cannot control: tone, approval, likes, applause. In personal relationships, this need for validation becomes suffocating. He clings to those who flatter him. He over-explains himself. He demands constant reassurance. He cannot handle criticism without spiraling. A single negative word can ruin his entire mood because he interprets every opinion as a verdict on his identity. He is not building a life. He is running a campaign, and campaigns require constant performance. The result is exhaustion, anxiety, and a personality that shifts so often it becomes unrecognizable even to himself. Even when this man gains success, he is never satisfied. Accolades lose their flavor quickly. He needs more attention, more admiration, more approval. And because his internal emptiness cannot be filled with praise, he becomes addicted to the chase. He will do anything to stay relevant. He will betray his values, abandon old friends, change his beliefs, so long as he stays in the light. And the moment the spotlight fades, he begins to panic. He fears being forgotten more than being disrespected. And in this fear, he sells pieces of his dignity just to be noticed again. The tragedy of the validation-seeking man is that he often believes he is strong. He believes that being seen means being valued, that being liked means being respected. But those who are respected are often feared, often misunderstood, often alone. They speak truth when it is unpopular. They walk away when flattery turns fake. They do not beg for attention, and because of that, they hold real power. The stupid man, however, never reaches this understanding. He stays on stage, desperate for applause, unaware that the audience only claps because he entertains, not because he matters. In a world governed by appearances, ruled by power, and manipulated by perception, the stupid man stands exposed, not by his lack of intelligence, but by his refusal to see. He talks too much, listens too little, and never questions the nature of his own thinking. He mistakes comfort for wisdom, noise for influence, and flattery for truth. He believes himself to be free, but every decision he makes is bound by his emotions, his impulses, and his desperate need to be accepted. Each of the 6 signs is not just a flaw. It is a fracture in the foundation of a man's strength. The inability to be silent, the obsession with shallow opinions, the refusal to self-reflect, the clinging to sameness, the lack of emotional discipline, and the hunger for validation. These are not merely habits. They are signs of internal decay, and the man who lives with these traits will never rise beyond mediocrity. He will be used, ignored, forgotten, or destroyed, not by others, but by himself. True power requires the opposite of stupidity. It requires discipline, restraint, vision, and the courage to remain unmoved when others panic, to stay silent when others scream, and to walk alone when others gather in false unity. The wise man is feared not because he is loud, because he understands what others do not. He speaks when it costs him. He waits when it hurts. He sees what the stupid man never will. That power is not found in being seen, but in being untouchable.